like there is nothing known as installing Selenium. Selenium is configured. You just need to download the jar files of Selenium on your system and you need to put them in the project. These are the core Java jar files which got downloaded on your machine when you downloaded Java. Okay, so to download Selenium jar files, you just need to go to Selenium website. I'll just explain you again. Just go to google.com and type download Selenium and you will get this link. I'm sorry. Out here on this link, you can click on this download. The latest version is 2.25. Okay, you can click on download and this 2.25 version will be downloaded as a zip file on your machine. In my machine, I already have it. I think I have 2.24 with me, not 2.5. Hold on. Yeah, I have 2.24 with me. Okay, you open this, not much of a difference if you are learning it for the first time. Okay. Now these are the two Selenium jar files which came up when you downloaded Selenium. Okay. Along with that, in the library folder, okay, you will have many other jar files as well. So you have to include all these jar files as well as the jar files which are here onto your project so that you can use the features of Selenium. Okay, how do you do that? You do that by basically going to your project in Eclipse, go to the properties of the project again. You will use this properties again and again. We'll use it a lot of times, right? So you go to the properties, and in properties you will have this option known as Java build path. Okay, go to this option Java build path and go to the libraries section. Out here you will see a libraries tab. Fine. Go to the libraries tab and you can add external jars. You can click on add external jars. Include all the jars, like these were the two jars for Selenium. Make sure that you include these two jars as well as jars under the library folder. Many times students, what they do, they only include the jars under the lib or only do these two jar files and they forget to include other jar files and then Selenium never works. So make sure you include all these jar files. Okay, and you click on OK, and now you will have a section known as reference libraries generated. Under this you will have the jar files of Selenium. Okay, so you have configured Selenium in your project. This is Java in your project and this is Selenium in your project. Right? That's it. Selenium is not installed, it is configured inside project. Okay, now under the source folder I had made this simple program to print something. Now I'll talk about object-oriented programming. After talking about object-oriented programming for some time, I will come back to this reference library section and I will tell you how that is used in Selenium. Okay, suppose I make a simple class. I'll make a simple class known as say city.java. Okay, and I make a simple variable, say int or string name inside this class. Okay, this is the class city. Inside it I made a simple variable called name. Right. In my another class I'll make another class known as test city. With the main function, I will click on main. In city class, I did not make any main function, but in test city I am making a main function. Now, From the test city class, I'll be using the city class and I'll be making an object of this class. So what do you mean by object? You'll come to know sometime what practically it means. Okay. If I write over here in test city, new city like this, then in the memory, an object of the city class will be formed. That object will be having a variable called, name inside it, right? But this object cannot be accessed. To access this object, you need an object reference. So you have to write like this: city c1 equals to new city. So what happens is that in the memory, c1 becomes the object reference to the city object, to this particular object, and you can access the properties of this object with c1. So if you write c1 dot, you will get the option name. You will also get other options, right? Just ignore those right now. You will come to know about other options very soon. But you will get the option name. This name was present in the city object. So you can write c1 dot name is suppose A. Similarly, I can make another object called as new city. Okay, and in this, again, name will be present, but you cannot access it. To access it, you need to give it a reference. So I'll write over here city c2 equals to new city, and then you write c2 dot name is B, right? Similarly, you can make another c1, c2 and c3. I'll create c1, c2 and c3 are not objects. These are known as object references. If I write like this in Java, city c4 equals to null, this means that this is an object reference in the memory which is not pointing to any object, right? Okay, the right side over here and the left side are different. This is the object reference and this is the object. Okay, so what I did in the memory, I made three objects: c1, c2 and c3. c1 has a name as A, this is B, this is C as the name, right? So if you go down and type system.out.println c1.name, c2.name, c3.name, and you run this, it will simply print ABC. Okay, I hope you are able to understand this. Fine. So this is known as object. Name is just one variable in the city class, but by creating different objects of city class, I can duplicate this variable in the memory.
Hello Ashish, sorry to interrupting, Balaji here.
Yeah.
Can you just go back to your last example?
Yeah.
Yeah. My question is simply, what does it mean by new city? What does it exactly mean as a syntax? Are we creating a new object or?
New city, yes. This syntax tells Java that create a new object in the memory.
Fine, thanks.
So this is the syntax to create the memory. right? This is the syntax to create a new object. I can also create a new object by writing like this simply, but this object cannot be accessed. This object cannot be accessed. Okay, so you have to give it a reference. Fine. Now, if I write over here C1 equals to C2, you can do that. So what will happen is that in the memory, the C1 object will remove its position from here. It will point to the location where C2 is pointing. So C1 and C2 both will point towards this second object having the name B. And now if I write the same thing and run this, you will have the output like B, B and C, because C1 and C2 they both point towards B. I hope you are getting this. If you are not getting this, then let me know. Very simple thing. Oops, it should be here. Out here it was A. Now, suppose if C1 changes the object, if I write C1 dot name is Z, then in memory C1 is changing this to Z. So for C2 as well it will change. So one reference can update the object update is updated for all the references. So if I write this again, C1 and C2 will print Z. If you run this, you will get the output like this. Similarly, in Selenium as well, we create objects. If I create a new class called as sample Selenium, okay, out here in this new class, right, if you go to documentation of Selenium, let's go to this Java doc, okay. Now these all are the inbuilt classes. On the left side, these are all the inbuilt classes which are there in Selenium. When you download the jar files, all these classes are there. You don't really need to write everything in Java when working with Selenium. While working with Selenium, you just need to use these classes, create the objects of these classes and work with Selenium. Everything is inbuilt, you just need to create the objects of the classes. For example, there is a class called as Firefox Driver. Okay, if I just write over here new Firefox, I just create the object of this class. You get an error, you move your mouse over the error and import the driver by selecting this command. You will get this fixing option, that import Firefox driver. When you select that, this driver is imported in the code. Okay, so this Firefox driver class is responsible to test your application on Firefox. So when you just create the object of this class and you run it, if I run this program, okay, I forgot to tell you, in Eclipse you can run this program through this button, or you see that when I run this, a Mozilla Firefox, blank Mozilla Firefox opens. Or in Eclipse you can also run the program by right clicking on the project and go to run as Java application. Right click on the file, run as Java application. See, by just creating the object of the internal class Firefox driver, a blank Firefox opens up. Similarly, if I write over here Firefox driver dr equals to this, if I create two objects dr1 and dr2, right? So dr1 will point towards the first Firefox browser, dr2 will point towards the second Firefox browser. If I run this, two Firefox windows will open up. You see that two windows open up. These two are the windows which just got opened up, right? And I can control them separately. I can write dr1.get to the URL. Get function is used to navigate to some particular URL, http say yahoo.com. Make sure you mention the protocol. Okay, make sure that you mention the protocol, right? And dr2.get to a different URL, http say bbc.com. So the first browser will navigate to Yahoo, the second will navigate to BBC. Okay, get function is used to get to some URL. If you run this, so everything starts with objects. Okay, everything starts with objects, and hold on. See that this yahoo.com it opens. It was actually minimized and it got maximized, and the second browser is navigating to bbc.com, right? So this is how you can work with browser. Similarly, we have got Chrome driver, iDriver, Firefox driver, iPhone driver is there, Android driver is there, HTML unit driver, Safari driver. For every different class we have a different driver. I'm going to talk about those drivers tomorrow. I'll not talk about them today. But right now, if anybody is having any questions, because I know before the class and after the class people have questions regarding Selenium not related to the course, related to the course, or whatever doubt or question you have in your mind, you can feel free to ask me that question. Please feel free to ask me any question in case you are having questions in your mind. Feel free to ask anything. Anything. Yeah.
Okay. So we have some 40+ videos already existing in the website.
Yes.
What about the today's video? Is it specific to
I have
any particular?
I have recorded it. I'll send the link to everybody on the email.
So
okay.
This video is only specific to this group. Huh?
Yeah, I'll tell you something now. Before that, a question is being asked: which framework is better to use, JUnit or TestNg? Personally, I prefer TestNg. Right? Many companies, although they use JUnit, people are shifting from JUnit to TestNg right now, and people they prefer TestNg. Okay, these days. Can you repeat the test city example, please? Sure, I can explain that again to you. What we had done was we had created a class called city with a variable name. Okay, in test city, I created 3 objects of this class like this: C1 having name A, C2 having name B, C3 having name C. And when I printed name was C1, C2 and C3, okay, it printed A, B and C respectively. Okay, now when I equated C1 to C2, that means C1 in the memory, these were the 3 objects which I created. The names were A, B and C, right? And C1, C2, C3 were pointing. When I wrote this particular line, so what happened? C1 stopped pointing here. C1 started pointing to the location where C2 pointed. So that's why C1.name and C2.name out here is printing B, because both of them are pointing towards the same object, right? When I write C1.name is Z on this particular line, right? Now where is C1 pointing? C1 is pointing towards this object, so B will be lost and Z will be written as name, right? And when I write C1.name, C2.name, both of them will print Z. C3 will remain same. We got it, Peter? Right? This is how it works. Yeah, Suman, you are asking me a question. Balaji, I'll tell you about the recorded sessions in some time. If I know QTP, is it easy to learn Selenium and which one is used nowadays? Look, I've been working on both the tools since a very long time. I have worked on QTP for the first time in 2005 or 6, right, sometime over there. Selenium I started late, but initially nobody used to ask Selenium. Let me be honest, everybody was with QTP. Okay, but there is a shift in the market. Now people have started going over to Selenium and QTP market is decreasing. I won't say QTP will completely go out, but yes, Selenium is giving a tough competition to QTP. Right? There are things which cannot be done with Selenium and can be done with QTP. For example, testing desktop-based applications. Right? QTP is a very rich tool. Fine. Okay. Both of them are equally used. Okay, to give you a simple example, just go to this website dice.com. Everybody must be knowing about this website in US. It's a job search website. Okay, and you just search jobs on Selenium. In US, it is a website. You'll see that you get, hold on. You get around 751 jobs. Okay, and if you search about QTP, you get around 595 jobs. Okay, 2 years back it was just QTP, not Selenium. 2 to 3 years back. Okay, so demand for Selenium is increasing. If you know QTP, okay, if you know QTP, then it is easy to learn Selenium. Technically, if you talk about the technical aspects, then no. But if you talk about the aspects like testing website, if you already have worked on QTP, developed frameworks and all, then obviously the same way you develop the framework in Selenium as well, but only the commands and the technical language and the technical jargon it changes. Okay, so if you know QTP, it's obviously an advantage, right? But learning Selenium will, to some extent it will be easy, but not to a very big extent, right? Is there any change of getting this session video as I was late today? Yeah, Suman, you will get the video. I'll be sending you the recording links in some time on your email IDs. Okay, right? Now about the recorded sessions. So C1, C2, etc. are attributes from city class. Yes, you can say yes. 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 Right. Fine. Okay. Any other question from anybody? Nothing. Right. So I'll just end up the session.
Ashish,